Okay, I want you to imagine something with me real quick. You're walking down the street and you fall. You twist your ankle, you can't get up, and you genuinely need help. Now here's my question for you. Would you rather have one person nearby or 50 people nearby? If you said 50, and honestly, most people do. I completely get it. More people feel safer, right? More eyes, more hands, more chances someone steps in. But here's what the science actually says. You are statistically safer with just one person around than with a crowd of 50. And that is not a typo. That is real, tested, proven psychology. And it has a name. It's called the Bystander Effect. Today we're going to break down exactly what it is, why it happens, and honestly, how knowing about it could help you save a life one day. Let's get in. So this all started with a real event that shook America back in 1964. There was a young woman named Kitty Genovese. She was 28 years old, living in New York City, and one night she was attacked right outside her apartment building while coming home from work. Now, what made this story go absolutely everywhere in the news was this. 38 of her neighbors were home that night. 38 people. Some of them looked out their windows. Some heard what was happening. And almost none of them called for help or came outside. For over half an hour. When journalists reported this story, people were horrified and angry. Everyone was asking the same question. How could 38 human beings just do nothing? Are people in big cities just cold? Do they not care about each other? But two psychologists named John Darley and Bib Latane had a different reaction. Instead of assuming the neighbors were just bad people, they said, wait. What if there's something much deeper going on here? What if this isn't about being heartless at all? What if it's about how our brains actually work in a crowd? So they did something really important. They designed a series of experiments to test it. What if the problem wasn't that 38 people didn't care, but that 38 people each assumed someone? Here's how their famous experiment worked. They brought someone into a room, alone, and told them to fill out some forms. Totally normal, boring stuff. Then, after a few minutes, smoke started seeping in from under the door, like something somewhere was on fire. When the person was alone, they got up and reported it in under a minute. Fast, decisive, no hesitation. But when there were other people in the room, when 3 or 4 people could all see the smoke together, most people just sat there, looked around at each other, kept writing. Some of them stayed in the room for over 5 minutes while smoke was literally filling the air. So why does this happen? The researchers found 2 main reasons, and both of them are super important to understand. Reason 1, diffusion of responsibility. When lots of people are around, every single person assumes someone else is going to handle the problem. You think, there are 10 people here. Surely one of them is already helping. But everyone is thinking the exact same thing, so nobody moves. The responsibility gets spread so thin across the group that it basically disappears. Reason 2, pluralistic ignorance. When something unusual happens, we look at the people around us to decide how serious it is. If everyone around you looks calm, even if they're only calm because they're looking at you for the same answer, you think, I guess this isn't an emergency. You copy the calm. The whole group tricks itself into doing nothing, even though privately, everyone is worried. Think about that for a second. Both of these things happen completely automatically. You don't decide to do them. Your brain just does. It's like a social reflex that evolved to help us cooperate. But in emergencies, it totally backfires. And here's a wild stat. In Darley and Latane's studies, 75% of people alone reported the emergency smoke. But when 3 strangers were together, only 38% reported it. The crowd literally cut the response rate in half. You've seen this before. Once you know what the bystander effect is, you start seeing it everywhere. It's not just in dramatic emergencies. It shows up in everyday life all the time. Someone drops a whole bag of groceries in a crowded supermarket, and everyone just walks around them. A comment section fills up with someone being really mean to another person, and hundreds of people see it. But almost no one says, hey, that's not okay. A student is clearly struggling in class, and the whole group stays quiet instead of asking the teacher to slow down. None of those people are bad. They're just caught in the same trap, waiting for someone else to go first. There's a really well-documented case from a New York subway where a man collapsed on a busy train. It was the middle of the day. Dozens of passengers were right there. And for over 30 minutes, people stepped around him, looked at their phones, or glanced at each other. Nobody helped. But, and this is the important part, the second one person finally walked over and knelt down beside him, 3 other people immediately stood up to help too. It was like one decision broke a dam open. That's the pattern. The crowd freezes until someone breaks the freeze. And here's the thing, that someone doesn't have to be special. They don't have to be brave or trained or confident. They just have to move first. It happens online. 2 research from 2019 found the bystander effect is just as strong on social media. The more people who see a harmful post, the less likely any individual is to report it, because everyone assumes someone else already knows what you can do about it. Okay, so here's my favorite part of this whole thing. Because this isn't just a scary psychological fact that leaves you feeling helpless. This is actually something you can work with. You now have knowledge that most people don't, and that genuinely changes things. The bystander effect only works when everyone stays anonymous in the crowd. The moment you make it personal, the moment one person feels directly responsible, the whole thing breaks down. So here's the tip that psychologists actually teach. If you're ever in an emergency and you need help from a crowd, don't just yell, "Someone help!" That message goes to everyone and to no one at the same time. Instead, point at one specific person. Look them right in the eyes. And say something like, "You, in the blue jacket, please call 911 right now." That's it. That one move removes the diffusion of responsibility completely. That person now knows it's on them. And study after study shows they almost always step up immediately. The one-person rule. In any emergency, always single out one specific person from a crowd rather than appealing to everyone. Use specific details, their clothing, their location. Once one person is activated, others quickly follow. And there's one more thing. Now that you understand why crowds freeze, you can also choose to be the person who doesn't. Not because you're fearless, but because you understand what's happening. You know the silence around you isn't proof that nothing is wrong. It's just the bystander effect doing its thing. And you can decide to step outside it. Whether that's speaking up for someone online, checking on a stranger who looks lost, or being the first person in the room to raise their hand and say, "I don't think this is okay." It all comes from the same place. Someone has to go first. And now that someone can be you. The bystander effect isn't proof that humans don't care. It's proof that humans deeply look to each other for signals, which means the most powerful signal you can send, in any situation, is simply, "I see this, and I'm going to do something about it." And hey, if this video made you think even a little bit differently about people, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps more people find this video and learn what you just learned. If you're new here, subscribe because we do this every week. Real psychology, real science, explained like a friend. And drop a comment below telling me. Have you ever been in a crowd where nobody helped? Or have you ever been the one who stepped up first? I read every single one. I'll see you in the next one.